10 seconds. They didn't show. Apologies. Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for the Palisades Fire Press event for Monday, January 13, 2025 at 3 p.m. My name is Thomas Schutz, Public Information for the Palisades Fire. I want to give some quick facts on this incident. We're at 23,713 acres. This fire is 14% contained. And as of today, we have over 5,000 personnel out here, 5,123 personnel working this incident. We're going to kick it off with an operational update.
Hello, I'm Battalion Chief Christian Litz with LA County Fire, partnered up with CalFire Team 2 with the operations section. We're going to start over here on the top left part of the map where you see Montecito there. This is more of the brush side on the top half of the map. So we have resources in there still isolating and securing the edges, looking for the heat sources deeper inside as far as we can to limit any probability of escape. And we're doing that to protect the town of Montecito, coming around the top to Payuma Canyon, over to Saddle Peak Ridge, and coming around to Tuna Canyon into the Topanga area and around the neighborhood of Fernwood, doing the same thing along that whole top edge of the fire. We have resources still scouring the fire's edge, mopping up. That means getting rid of any kind of isolated heat sources that they're finding inside, and as deep as we can to isolate that problem and make sure that we don't have any issues as far as probability of escape. We're limiting it as much as we can. Around where we have structures in Fernwood, we do have resources in there, getting behind those structures, again, mopping up any heat that they find, make sure that we don't have any adverse fire effects to those buildings right there to keep them safe. As we come up to Topanga Canyon along the fires again, we're securing that edge, putting in that hand line, and getting deeper in the mop up. Everything's looking a lot less heat in this area as far as everywhere else as well. Topanga, we're looking at Topanga Oaks, Sylvia Park's up there, so we're going around the edge. We still got a lot of work to do in this area right here as far as constructing direct control line. Going direct means we're going right along that fire's edge, securing the edge, mopping it up, getting deeper as we go along that to secure it. Coming up the side, we had a little bit of activity here a couple days ago, what we are calling Division Zulu, as we come back up to Dirt Mulholland. It is good. We got retardant painted thick along that edge, nice big line constructed with the hand crews that did a lot of work. So they're just finding, those isolated heat sources to make sure we have very low probability of any escape of this fire. Coming around the top, the Dirt Mulholland, coming around to the corner and coming back down into Mandeville Canyon, same story. Resources are still scouring that edge that's to secure it, and getting behind those structures in Mandeville Canyon, make sure there's nothing that can roll out or do any damage that we don't want done to any structures, and they're working really hard to get as depth as they can in there. Overall, that's the more brush area of the fire, is the top half of the fire. Find very little activity in there. We do still have helicopters up there dropping on those heat sources to help the ground crews out. Now coming down into the Riviera area, West Ridge, Riviera, bordering Santa Monica and the Pacific Palisades, all along the bottom half of the fire that we see here, going into Topanga Canyon, Temescal Canyon, Las Flores area, and also coming back over to Malibu, same story. Resources are lined up and going all along the PCH, interior to all the structures, up the different roads, all around those structures. They're really concentrating on the structures that are still standing, getting ready any heat sources around it, anything that can cause any damage or get inside those structures and have any unwanted damage that we're thinking about. And then coming around, finishing up back to where you see the black line, that's where the fire butted up against the Franklin fire here on the far left of the map, and it's looking really good. We still have eyes on it. We still have resources in the area. We also have resources in the structure groups, which means they're around the structures building plans. We always plan to keep the fire as small as possible, but we always prepare for something different, especially with the winds coming on. We could have change of the environment for us, so we're preparing to respond to anything new. We have resources identified that could respond quickly and keep new starts small.
Next up, our incident meteorologist.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist with the National Weather Service assigned to the Palisades incident. Last week when this fire ignited, the area was experiencing one of the strongest Santa Ana wind events we've had in recent memory. And those historic Santa Ana winds brought extremely critical fire weather conditions to this area, allowing the fire those first couple of days to grow rapidly and explosively. Since those first couple of days, the fire has still been under the influence of Santa Ana winds, and that influence is going to continue for the next couple of days. In fact, from today through Wednesday, we're expecting moderate to locally strong Santa Ana winds across the fire, and with that, it's going to bring continued critical fire weather conditions to the area. Along with the critically dry brush, because we haven't had any rain here since last April, it's going to bring those critical fire weather conditions to the area, and therefore we have a red flag warning that's in effect. That red flag warning is still in effect until 6 p.m. Wednesday evening. So we have expectations of those moderate to strong Santa Ana winds, critical fire weather conditions. That red flag warning is in effect until 6 p.m. Wednesday. Fortunately, by Thursday and continuing into the weekend, things are going to moderate quite dramatically, and we get back to actually kind of nice oceanic sea breezes, cooler temperatures, higher humidities. Hopefully, we'll get at least a couple days of respite from these Santa Ana winds. But again, the big thing is red flag warning is still in effect for this area until 6 p.m. Wednesday.
Thank you. Now I'd like to invite all of our speakers and guests up to the stage, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Everett. I'm the Assistant Chief for Operations West Bureau from the Los Angeles City Fire Department, covering the area of the impacted zone. It troubles me to see these things happen to my neighbors. This is an area that I live, work, and play. All that being said, I have to put my emotions behind me because it's time for me to roll up my sleeves along with this incredible team I have behind me to really help with those business continuity and resiliency plans and try to get this place back up on their feet at the best of our abilities. I proudly stand with a number of partners in the area, but primarily my fire partners, Los Angeles County, who we share the border with, of course myself, Los Angeles City, and then we have our force multiplier, CalFire incident management team to help us, along with a number of law enforcement partners. We have a good team to help you the best of our abilities. Within the city of Los Angeles, we're still actively working in there. We do have some active structure fires left over from the original impact, and we're also bracing for some severe weather that you just heard from our weather specialist. So I just want to tell the city Angelinos that we are not out of this yet. We have a significant storm coming tonight, so listen to all the warnings that you've heard, and please, believe me when I tell you that we're in this together. But I really want you to be safe until we get out of this next storm, and then we can take the next step.
CalFire Incident Management Team 2 Incident Commander.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Hudson with CalFire Incident Management Team 2 and Unified Incident Commander for the Palisades incident. Over the last 36 hours, we have seen very little fire growth on this incident, which is a positive. However, it's important to remember, as was just stated, we are still under a red flag event, and we will continue to surge resources to the priorities around this fire. The priorities right now are extinguishing any flare-ups around structures, responding to any hotspots on the interior around structures, and primarily building line for community protection. Those have been our priorities the last throughout this incident, but we've been able to achieve those priorities. We have a large number of resources. We're over 5,000 people at this incident right now, spread across the entirety of this incident and the fire line as well as interior. We are also continuing to build contingency line. I mentioned yesterday that some of the flare-ups that we saw over the last 48 to 72 hours, they did remain within the contingency line. We're actively building contingency line to the north, south, east, and west around this fire. We're focusing around communities like Fernwood, and with the westerly flow that we're starting to, the offshore flow we're starting to see, we're prepared for that. I know we've had a lot of questions about containment. Not a lot of smoke in the air today. Part of the reason that the winds are keeping the smoke down. and but also with the containment. When we call something contained or identify it as such, we want to have complete confidence that the fire will not cross that line. So we anticipate through Wednesday night, this fire is going to be heavily wind tested. We do anticipate an increase in containment, and we'll report that as such as the time allows or the situation dictates. So thank you.
LA Fire Department Chief.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start with just giving you a quick brief. This morning, Mayor Bass and I conducted an aerial survey of this specific fire at Palisades. While we witnessed significant loss, we also saw many, many successes in the efforts to save lives and protect property. Containing the fires absolutely remains the top priority. When the time comes for recovery, we are committed to a unified effort across the agencies to support the affected communities. The Palisades fire is still active, as we can see, and our mission continues. As I said this morning, I've staffed all available LAFD resources ahead of this wind event, and it's already underway. There are pre-positioned engines, strike teams, task forces across the city to make sure that we have the ability to rapidly respond. In addition, I've directed the Fire Prevention Bureau within the city to augment as fire patrols in the very high fire hazard severity zone. I tell you, as I take a step back, I'm so very grateful as I look around and I see all of our firefighters and first responders from all over California and our neighboring states. You think about that from the western region to Canada to even Mexico. We know absolutely we cannot fight this alone, and we're so very appreciative of our partners. Just a brief on the Palisades fire. You've heard a couple of the numbers, but the LAFD remains committed to this fire, and we have a significant number of engines that are assigned. The fire is 23,713 acres with 14% containment, 5,123 personnel that are assigned. As you can see, the firefighters are up and down. They are completely and diligently working through the night to increase the containment and prevent further spread. As this wind event that we just heard about continues, we urge the public to stay diligent, to stay ready, as the danger has absolutely not passed. Please adhere to any evacuation warning and orders immediately, and prioritize your safety. Thank you, everyone.
LA County Sheriff Commander.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Commander Christine Coles. I'm with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I'm serving as the Unified Incident Commander from the Sheriff's Department Incident Management Team for the Palisades Fire Response. I'd like to provide you just a few updates on the status of our operation. We currently have over 100 Sheriff Department personnel assisting with our operations, along with National Guard personnel. Currently, no new evacuations are being performed. We've made 5 arrests related to the Palisades fire, involving charges such as unauthorized entry into an emergency area and additional charges for weapons and narcotics possession. A curfew has been established for all mandatory evacuation zones affected by the Palisades fire and will be in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and until further notice. This curfew is strictly enforced to enhance public safety, protect property, and deter looting. We urge all individuals to comply with the curfew and avoid the affected areas unless you are authorized personnel. We regret to confirm that 5 deaths as of this afternoon have occurred within the LASD jurisdiction due to the Palisades fire. In collaboration with the Los Angeles County Fire Urban Search and Rescue Team and multiple other agencies, search and rescue operations began this morning in designated areas which were affected by the fire. These searches are part of a phased approach and will occur during daylight hours. The goal of the searches is to ensure that areas are made safe prior to entry and to ensure every resident is accounted for. I can't begin to comprehend the anguish that some in the community are feeling, and I'm so sorry for all the losses that you have suffered. However, we ask that you understand that thorough searching must be conducted in these areas to render them safe and to provide conclusion for those that have been reported missing. We appreciate all the cooperation that you give us during this tragedy. Thank you.
LA County Fire Department Chief Harris.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Robert Harris, and I'm with Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm one of the Unified Incident Commanders assigned to this incident. Your Los Angeles County Fire Department understands that the community is in need of information. To assist the community in understanding or knowing the status of their property, impacted residents may visit recovery.lacounty.gov to view preliminary maps showing the damage assessments. Please note that preliminary maps have been posted and are updated daily. If you look at the map and you do not see a color by your address, that means that that building has not been assessed as of yet. As stated by my colleagues, severe weather conditions will continue through Wednesday. Please be assured that the Los Angeles County Fire Department is prepared, and we are anticipating winds and low humidity and low moisture, which will be a threat to the Los Angeles County area, and it will be critical. We ask all Los Angeles County residents in fire-prone areas to understand that the public safety shutoffs are critical and necessary for the collective safety of the community and for preventing additional wildland fires. There are rumors out there that the Los Angeles County Fire Department turned down offers for mutual aid. We want you to be assured that these rumors are totally false. However, we would like to make it totally clear that repopulation will not occur until the area is safe for our residents to return home. We would like once again to thank Supervisor Lindsay Horvath for her unwavering leadership and continued support through this unprecedented disaster. And finally, to the residents of Los Angeles County affected by this catastrophe, please be assured that our firefighters continue to work toward containing these wildland fires from the land and the ground so that we can get you home relatively as soon as possible. We stand alongside of you during this terrible disaster, and we will be with you during the recovery effort. Thank you.
LAPD Chief.
Well, good afternoon. I want to assure you that the LAPD and all of our partners here remain fully committed to your safety and well-being as we move forward through this together. Just a bit on our deployment, LAPD officers are performing increased patrols in the areas impacted by the fires. For a 24-hour period, we have deployed roughly 600 officers to these areas with support from the Los Angeles Airport Police, Port Police, and the National Guard, who has 200 soldiers assigned to the Palisades incident, and we're very grateful for all of their support. On the missing persons front, certainly a concern for everyone. At this time, we have 26 people reported missing. 17 of those have been found safe. Of the 9 remaining, 2 have most likely been found deceased, but we have yet to be able to positively identify those individuals. 1 has likely been found safe at a shelter, but refused contact with the police, and 6 remain unaccounted for. Anybody who may have information on any of those 6, if you would, please let us know. In total, 3 fatalities were fire-related. 1 fatality died at a hospital, but had not been previously reported missing. On the arrest front, we've made a total of 14 arrests. 3 of those were for failure to obey curfew, impersonating an officer 1, impersonating a firefighter 1, unauthorized entry to a closed emergency area 2 people, 1 for driving under the influence, 1 for vandalism, 1 for possession of ammo and burglary tools, 2 for burglary, and 2 for conspiracy to commit burglary. So in spite of what we say up here, there are people who are still going to take advantage of the situation. So please help us out with that. Animal services, on that front, we're sensitive to the fact that in the rush to evacuate, many residents were forced to leave their pets behind. In order to help residents gain access to the pets that were left behind, Animal Services is accepting calls and creating a list for CalFire to assist with facilitating reunification with their pets. That number is 888-452-7381. And Animal Services is deploying 2 animal regulation officers here to the Zuma command post to be able to assist in that and inspect undamaged properties for animals. Again, just a reminder on the curfew, my partner, Commander Coles, mentioned the curfew order will remain in place tonight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And unless you're public safety personnel or other disaster workers, you have no reason to be at these locations. If you are in those areas, as you've heard over and over again, you will be subject to arrest. Enforcing a curfew is an important tool to keep the burn areas and evacuated property secure and to keep looters out. This effort also helps to protect public safety personnel who are operating in darkness in very difficult circumstances. As you heard previously, there's still a threat there from gas lines, electricity down, power lines, not to mention the toxic environment that's been created. So unless you have a real official reason to be there, please stay out. In closing, I just want to reiterate that our department, that all of us standing be here with you today before you, are with you. We're here for you for the duration, not only to ensure your safety, but provide support and resources necessary to recover and ultimately rebuild. I want to ensure the community that we're working tirelessly every day to protect lives, property, and maintain public safety during this critical time. Thank you for your understanding, your patience, and your resilience during this very, very difficult time for all. Thank you.
CalFire Director.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Tyler. I'm the Director and Fire Chief at CalFire. Again, as I said yesterday, my heartfelt thoughts and prayers are with the community and our citizens who are affected by this devastation. And I have the utmost appreciation for our firefighters and our first responders, our law enforcement and military organizations who have come together to support the community. Over 15,000 responders are across Southern California right now, brought in from all over the state of California, the Western, Midwest, and Central United States, as well as our international partners from places like Canada and Mexico. It takes coming together with our local, state, federal, nonprofit, tribal, and international partners to make this all possible. And as we continue to mitigate the hazards that are occurring here at Palisades and mitigating the hazards that are occurring at the Eaton Fire while we're continuing to do damage assessment with multiple damage assessment teams, being able to publish that information as you heard earlier, we recognize that these conditions will change and being able to look ahead. So the other portion of CalFire is our natural resource protection responsibilities. And working together with the Department of Conservation's California Geological Survey and CalFire with our foresters and hydrologists are working together to look at the burned soil severity, looking at the risk factors, and providing a plan that will be supported with our local and county leaders on how we are going to continue to recover and mitigate the next steps of this community. We continue to pre-position resources for this event that we've heard about going through Wednesday night. Throughout the Los Angeles County, Greater Los Angeles area, San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County, San Diego, there are pre-positioned resources across the area. We have moved aircraft to various Southern California airports while we continue to support the Palisades and the Eaton, making sure that they are out of the wind-prone area and are able to get off the ground when needed. We set up a mobilization center. It's sitting in Beaumont, California at Noble Creek Park for resources to be filled in that mobilization center as a staging area to be able to move them north, south, east, or west. As we continue through this event for the next 2 days through Wednesday evening, we need you to remain vigilant, ready to evacuate, heeding the caution of law enforcement, military, National Guardsmen, your firefighters. Heed their warnings so they can fight fire and not have to focus entirely on rescues. For additional information, as you heard and you will hear, you can go to a variety of links on websites to find out more information that's available, but from CalFire's perspective specifically, fire.ca.gov, links to all of our local and county official websites. And to prepare yourself better, go to readyforwildfire.org. Thank you.
CHP Commissioner.
Good afternoon. I'm Sean DeRee. I'm the Commissioner of the California Highway Patrol. Currently, the CHP has over 700 officers that continue to be on tactical alert in the LA region. 248 of those during this 24-hour period are assigned to both the Pacific Palisades and the Eaton Fire. Their general role is general law enforcement support for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles Police Department, looter suppression. Many of them are on traffic control. Just a message, I would ask you to have patience with the officers that are on traffic control. They are not the ones making the decision to deny entry, to not allow people to reoccupy. We're interacting with a lot of members of the community. Emotions are high, and that's being taken out on the officers. During briefing, we're asking our officers to have empathy, to show patience, and we'll ask the community to have some tolerance for the officers as well. The CHP is in this for the long haul, along with all our other state partners, as we mitigate this tragedy. Thank you.
Next up, California State Senator Ben Allen.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Ben Allen, representing the wonderful communities of Malibu, Palisades, Hollywood, that have been so impacted by this terrible fire. I just want to thank the incredible first responders who've come from all over the state, indeed, all over the West and several of our neighbor countries, heeding the call and are working so hard, and it's because of them that we've made so much progress on defeating this fire. We've been able to roll back evacuation orders in Santa Monica and make incredible progress in Mandeville Canyon and up on the northern portions of the fire, and that's very much due to the selfless and tireless work that they've been engaged in. I've taken several trips into the fire zone. It's devastating. I understand why people are concerned about letting folks back in, given the amount of wires on the ground, asbestos risk, water, gas. A lot of utility work currently underway in the area where they're shutting off all the potential risks. It's going to be a long and arduous process. I brought one of the ranking member of the committee that oversees FEMA in the U.S. Congress there today. We talked about resources for the area, and I certainly hope and expect that our fellow Americans from around the country will step up and help us through federal assistance, just like we do every single time in other parts of the country as they've had storms and challenges with hurricanes and issues on the Gulf. Senator McGuire came, the leadership of the state Senate. We talked extensively about ways that the state is going to help. We talked also extensively about the rebuilding efforts in some other cities in the state, such as Santa Rosa, which burned down 6 years ago, and it's now been rebuilt. And I think that's a story of inspiration for us as we think about a path moving forward. We were also so happy that the president came to visit some of the fire site and offered a 100% reimbursement rate for the firefighting and first responder efforts. And the governor's now stepping up with a major infusion, $2.5 billion just proposed just now to assist with fire recovery efforts here in Los Angeles. He obviously came out with a big announcement on permitting reform yesterday. Our Attorney General and District Attorney are working hard on both looting issues, but also price gouging and making sure that people don't take advantage of folks who are vulnerable. There's a lot of work to go ahead now, including in the world of insurance. And part of what's so important about the efforts that were just announced was that insurers oftentimes require photographic evidence of the destruction of the properties in order to get to pay out their insurance reimbursements. And that's why this kind of work going through and documenting the destruction property by property is so important for folks. It's not just the sense of closure, which we know is incredibly important as well, but it's also going to assist people with insurance. The insurance commissioner is actually bringing 2 weekends full of workshops. First of all, this weekend, the 18th and 19th at Santa Monica College, and then the following weekend at Pasadena City College to largely service the folks who've been impacted by the Eaton fire. So we're hosting that workshop at SMC this coming weekend, and there are going to be people from private sector insurers, the FAIR Plan. It's going to be a one-stop shop for you to get all of your insurance questions answered in person, so you don't have to be stuck on hold on a line. You can make appointments. You can walk-ins are accepted, but we're certainly encouraging people to make appointments. 800-927-4357. That's 800-927-4357. Again, this has been a devastating few days for our community. I've lost so many of my friends have lost their homes. Just was at my synagogue, which is based in the Palisades, on Friday night as we had a service of healing, and over a third of the congregants there have lost their homes, including both of the rabbis. It's just a very difficult moment for us, and we certainly appreciate all of the people who stepped up to help the victims, both through offering places to stay, the incredible outpouring of donations of all kinds in those recovery centers and in the shelters. It's really been a moment of what made me proud to be an Angelino and proud to be an American. So I just want to, again, send out my hope and expectation that our fellow Americans will help us in our time of need through FEMA assistance and other recovery assistance. I can't believe it will be anything other. And I want to just close by saying God bless our firefighters and our first responders who have been working so hard, who have thrown everything they have at this fire, and they're a big part of the reason why we're now on such a track towards success in ending this fire. Thank you, and God bless our firefighters.
Next up, United States Senator Adam Schiff.
Just want to start off by referring to the remarks of the incident commander, Jim Hudson, who I think said we have seen very little forward progress on the fires in the last 36 hours. That is some very good news that we have all been desperate to hear. If we can say the same about the next 36 hours, we will be indeed fortunate and maybe begin to move into a different phase of this. But the only reason we've made that progress in the last 36 hours is because of the folks that are standing behind me on the stage and literally thousands and thousands of others that are deployed throughout these fire areas. This command center right here, we have 5,000 people operating out of it. It's like a fire army operating from here. So I'm grateful for what the governor and his staff have done to help organize this response. I'm very grateful to CalFire for your leadership in this, to my colleague Alex Padilla, to LA City Fire, LA County Fire, to the police department, the sheriff's office, to the weather service, to FEMA, to SBA, to everybody who's coming together. In the public sector and the private sector, it's been an extraordinary effort. I was at one of the shelters earlier today, seeing what Red Cross volunteers are doing and Salvation Army volunteers are doing. Many of these shelters are being inundated with offers of help from the community, which is just so heartwarming. And talking to some that have lost their homes and lost everything but their lives, it is inspiring to see how strong and resilient they are, how determined they are to rebuild and to bounce back from this. And so there's a lot to be inspired by in this time of trial. There's also a lot to be infuriated by. And I would just say to those of you out there who are looting, adding injury to injury for these people who have lost their homes, there is a special place in hell for you. And if the folks behind me have anything to say about it, there'll be a special place in jail for you too. And I would also add, for anyone, as we've seen in prior disasters, who are looking on this as an opportunity to defraud taxpayers and try to steal money meant for the relief effort, there's a special place in hell for you too, and we are going to go after you. But I'm so grateful for what everyone around here is doing. I want to urge any who are watching in the insurance industry to move with urgency when people are coming to you with their claims, because many can't proceed very far with FEMA until they determine what's covered or not covered. And so we need you to treat all of those affected like the members of your family. Some indeed are members of your family, but we need the insurance industry to move on this with urgency. And I also want to tell people who have applied to FEMA, you may have gotten a quick response that looks like you're not going to get any help from FEMA because you have insurance. You may not qualify for most of FEMA if you have insurance. You may not qualify for everything, but there may be funds nevertheless that you do qualify for. So read carefully what response you get from FEMA. There are also, in addition to grants that FEMA has, there are low-interest loans that the SBA has to help you rebuild homes and businesses. So there are resources out there. We're going to be trying to bring more resources back. This is going to be an intensive recovery effort. Our first priority right now is to put down the flames, make sure people are safe. And then we need to move with speed to clean up the debris, which, as Senator Allen was pointing out, there are still fires in some of these residential burn areas. There are wires, there are poles down. There is just a huge amount of ash and debris that is unhealthful to be around and breathe for sustained periods. We're going to need to clean all that up. Obviously, we want people to be able to access their personal possessions that still remain. But we need to, when the time comes, we need to move up that cleanup effort and really get to it. As well, the process of rebuilding, I'm glad to hear the governor talk about streamlining the permit process. We can't have this drag out for 10 years. We need to get this done urgently. Let's make this a model on how you can quickly rebuild after a major disaster. Finally, to so many of you who are struggling with what you've lost, the whole state, the whole country is thinking of you, is sending their prayers to you, wants to be helpful to you. We're going to get through this. We are in California nothing if not resilient. We are going to rebuild. These neighborhoods will be rebuilt. Communities that you love will be rebuilt. We want you to come back. Neighbor wants to see neighbor again. So we're going to be working on this. We can't lose sight of this. We have a tendency in this country to focus on a disaster while it's happening and in the immediate after, and then move on to something else. And we need to remain focused because this is going to require a sustained effort. Once again, thank you, and I think they're going to open up to questions.
We're incredibly grateful to be joined by our partners from the California National Guard as well. Also, we have our partners from ATF and the Mayor of Beverly Hills. So if you have any questions for anybody on stage, we're going to move into the Q&A portion. My partner, Captain Scott, is out there with a microphone. If you have a question, if you could please raise your hand. He's going to get the question read out loud, and we'll find the best person to answer it.
First question's in reference to the fire caused by CNN's Julia Jones.
Hi there. Good afternoon. Thank you for answering our questions. My question is about the investigation and one of the hypotheses that was raised in an article by Times about the possibility of this fire that might have started from a fireworks fire near a popular hiking trail near here over New Year's Eve. Could you speak to that hypothesis and whether or not the fire appears at this point to have human causes?
Yeah, thank you for that. If they're looking at all possibilities, they can't talk about the investigation while it's ongoing. As you know, they're also looking at the cause and point of origin for all of these fires. So the task force that we mentioned yesterday that's together is being led by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They are the best in the business at doing this, working closely with our major crimes division and the sheriff's arson and explosive section, and the FBI as needed as well. So you're not likely to hear anything specific about the questions you're asking now until that comes to a resolution. So I apologize for not being able to be more detailed on that.
Second question will be in reference to the death toll by Spectrum One's Chase Beach.
Hi there. Just hoping to get a bit of clarification, maybe from the sheriff's department. From my count, it sounds like it's 29 now is the death toll, and also if you are able to share, it sounded like you said 5 more from the Palisades fire. If you know the rough location of that would be helpful. Thank you.
So the amount of deaths that I reported, which was 5, is only from the sheriff's department's area of responsibility. So some of the numbers that are being reported are a combination of the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire, and some numbers that you're seeing out there are a combination of the sheriff's department and LAPD areas. So only within the sheriff's department area of responsibility, we have had 5 deaths.
The next question is in reference to the spread of the fire, particularly Friday and Saturday by Los Angeles Times. Grace Tuhey.
I was hoping to get some more details about how you guys were able to successfully contain the fire when it was threatening West Los Angeles as well as the Encino and Tarzana area. How are we able to get that under control, and are you expecting those same areas to be a concern if the winds or when the winds do pick up?
As far as the area is concerned, right now the wind is favorable for Tarzana and actually the entire 101 corridor. So with the offshore flow, they are actually burning back towards the coast. It was a very aggressive firefight. I can say that multitude of different strategies and tactics used, primarily tactics. We did have a successful day with our aviation assets that day due to the wind, and they were working very hard and building line with retardant and using the rotor wing or the helicopters to drop water. And that was primarily a direct attack incident. Crews were working right along the fire line, and it was a lot of hard work and a lot of effort that was put into that day. To summarize that, crews were engaged across the whole perimeter there.
Next, we have a question from Ross with KCAL, 3 parts, and he'll go through all 3 of them.
Thank you, Chief Crowley. If I may ask you a question from CBS News and KCAL News. First and foremost, our analysis from the numbers that CalFire has given us show of the 5,000 people fighting in this fire, 85% of them are from Southern California, our local heroes, men and women. How are they holding up? That's the first question.
So I'll speak specifically from our LAFD members, and please join in. I tell you, our people are resilient. They are working extremely hard. I did have the opportunity to speak directly with our members that are assigned to the local fire stations, where it was initially, they were fighting fire. And I tell you, they stand strong and proud, but I also want to tell you in the community that they feel what the community is feeling. Their community is our community and vice versa. So we visited the fire stations, and our people are fatigued, but they keep showing up, and I'm extremely, extremely, extremely proud of them, and I'm sure that goes across the board with every single entity that is reported to this specific fire. They're incredible.
As we go into this period now, the wind gusts perhaps as high as 70 miles an hour beginning late tonight and through Wednesday. How have you changed the firefight tactics, and what do you have to say to residents in this area about, is the fire possibly going to whip back up out of control? We're only at 14% containment right now after nearly a week.
Right, so I'll speak really high level, and then we can bring in the operational experts in that regard. But when it comes to just the lean forward posture, this is still an active incident, very active incident. We have 5,000 people, individuals who are assigned just to this incident. Mind you, let's talk about all the other incidents that have already occurred, and we still have to build recovery from that side. That lean forward posture is very, very important. Do not let your guard down. The winds are here. So that's what we need the community to pay attention to specifically. When it comes to the operational side, again, even outside of the Palisades fire, just be resilient and be mindful about the information that's coming out.
Let me ask you what homeowners have been asking us in the areas that have tragically already been burned through in Palisades, for example. Every homeowner wants to know when they can return to their homes. So Angelinos are strong, as you know. They just want it straight. Is it going to be days or weeks or possibly months? What is your best estimate at this time?
Right, so I would love to bring in when we talk about repopulation, we have messages over and over again, and I understand the frustration. Number one, the community needs to understand, still active, we are still searching for individuals, families that are missing, family members that are missing. There's an active search. And when it comes to it not being safe, I know that is so frustrating, but that's what takes the time. I will tell you and guarantee you that when it is safe to do so, we will allow the population and repopulation in the community to come back in. That is top of mind, but just as important of top of mind is the safety of those individuals as well. I'm not sure if anybody else wants to speak on the timing.
But the estimate, Chief, realistically,
It will not, what I can say, it will not be days. And with that, I think, again, stand by for more information. We have so many individuals here to do what we need to do to manage what's happening out there. Repopulation and getting our community members back so they can see it and understand it is really, really important to every single person that's here. That is top of mind. We'll make sure we'll do it as quickly as we can, but it has to be safe.
And in the meantime, if homeowners go to those links, they can see photos as well of their properties. Photos, so that's brand new. That's a huge step forward.
That is a step forward, and I don't want to speak for the individuals that are doing that, but that is a big step forward. Thank you.
I think that concludes the questions. We would like to make one mention there. It was mentioned the Mayor of Beverly Hills, of course, that's the Mayor of Malibu, Doug Stewart. So if there's any other questions or Spanish, they'll be happy to be handled. Thank you.